Alright, so welcome back to another React tutorial, ReactJS. So today what we're going to talk about is components and props. So React is really built on this idea of components, the idea that you can divide stuff and then reuse stuff, reuse some chunk of code based on it, use it with its components. And with great syntax such as JSX, we can use components fairly easily. So today we're gonna learn about components props. So this video is based on ReactJS.org's official documents. They have really good documentations there. I will link their documentation on my blog into the description below if you're interested for reading it. Alright, so let's get started. So first we will talk about is components. So now to create components is fairly easy, but now you can see that it's always like it's from app.js, right? So to make it more manageable, what we usually do is actually create a components directory, and in here we can create different kind of components. For example, in here I'm just going to create function components, component.js. And then here, we'll say from import React from React. And in here, I will just define function components. Components usually use the snake case, so like capitalize every word instead of camel case. That usually works. And then basically in here, what I would say, actually let me rename it to hello world. So basically this will return the name of the person. So it will return h1. So we can just say return. And then here we can just say h1. And then we could say hello. Whoops. Let me get rid of this h1 tag. And then here what we could say is hello props.name. So you can think of props. So take a look at this function. So what's happening here is we first define a function. It's called hello world. And then it takes in one and only one argument called props. So props stand for properties. We can use properties later in JSX as some sort of like HTML attribute. And then we return a JSX element. You can see we return h1 tag and says hello, and then we can access props by stop notation, props.name. So what this is going to do is it's going to find the corresponding elements in JSX elements with hello world as a function, and then it's going to find the name attribute and then return it here. And then now we can go to index.js, and then we are going to say import hello world from in here we still have one more thing to do. Export default hello world. Alright, so basically we need to export hello world as well. And now you can see we get a warning says hello world is defined but never used. Now index.js, what we can say is in this React strict mode, we could say hello world but with name, and then self-closing it with name, we can say world as our name. So let's take a look what we'll see here. And now you can see we see hello world, right? Hello world. And then we could try something different. So instead of a name with world, we can just say name with dev with me. And then now you can see it's automatically change it to hello dev is me. So this is the power of components, and realize that we use this name, this is going to pass it as custom properties, and then we can access this using object. So if we really want to console.log props, I'm not sure, will this show up? And then if we take a look, so we can take a look what is inside of props. And now you could see the props is indeed an object that have name, that is me there. So what you can also do is you can install React Dev tools to debug it, but for now we're just not going to use it. Alright, so this is basic function properties, but what more commonly used is not function components, it's more class components. So recall that I talked about class, ES6 class, so we can say import React from React. And then in here, what we could say is, let's see. Yeah. All right, in here, we can create a class instead. We can say class, hello world, but class this time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to extend the class, so inherit a class that is React.component. The React.component is a class that's built into React, and I'm going to extend that class so we have some properties there. And now what we could say inside is we're going to provide one method. This method is required. It's called render. And then in render, what we could say is return. So it's going to be the same thing. We're going to return h1 this.props.name. So recall that this referred to the instance that generated, or the class itself, and then we can get props of that instance, and then we can get the name from that props using dot notation. So if you haven't learned class, I will make sure to link the class tutorial down in the description below, so you can check it out. And then here, what we could say is import. Do we say export default? Nope. So don't forget, say export default class, hello world class without any parentheses. Default. And then in here we can say import hello world class from /components /class component.js. And then in here, let me add a semicolon. And now in here, what we could say is a hello world class instead. Then let's try name hello. So I can say from class. And then if you take a look, compile it. And then let's take a look at our form. Okay, let's see, we got an error. Class extends value undefined is not a constructor, or no. Let's see. Take a look. Whoops. Okay, so I made a typo there. It's not React.components, it's React.component. It's not plural. And now if you give it a sec to let it refresh again, now I can say we see from class here. I forgot to add hello, but you can see this is a different way. And then we'll talk about more on what's the difference between using function component and class components. Alright, so now let's talk about a complicated example. So we can also use a component within a component. So what's that mean? Well, here's what I mean. Whoops. So let's now go ahead and create. In here, I'm just going to create complicated components. Complex components. And in here, I will just say import React from React function. In here, what we will say is we're going to define a function, and then in here we will define a function called comments. This is directly from the ReactJS documentation. And then here, what I can say is return what we could say is p. Okay, I must wrap in a div, so let's use div instead. And here, what we could say is we can say p paragraph, and then here we will say props dot author dot name, and then here we can say prop let's see, you can say props dot dot comments here. So now what we could do is you can say export default. So we're not gonna actually like use like components within the components. But let's see, export default comments, and then here in our index.js, what we could say is hello world. Let's go import first. So let's say import it's not that complex. Import complex. What did I name it here? So you can see import comments from dot slash components slash complex components .js. And then here what I could say is I could actually provide an object. So I can say comments, and then in here I could say so you can see with the author to get an author object, and then I can use name to get the author's object, the name property, and then we can get the comments. So in here what I could say is I could say author equals to this. I believe I can do that. Let me, oops. So here, what I want to say is name is dev is me. And wait, is that how you provide this? I'm actually still a little bit confused as well, to be honest. Dev is me. You know what? I will figure out this part later. But this is how you basically use components. I'm not sure. I don't know how to get this to work. I will take a look at that again. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's about it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. By the way, this is the first time I learned React, so if you did anything wrong, please comment below. I also want to learn it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and see you next time.